I must admit, in my number of years, I have used vending machines a fair bit. We've got some here, very, very different technology though. And to tell us all about it, we've got Nicole from Apex. Now, Apex, a company that produce all these, and you've got some pretty exciting machinery behind you.
We do. So Apex, the founder of Apex, Kent Savage, is basically the father of industrial vending. So vending machines for the industrial space. And what we have here are devices that basically use vending technology, what you see in snack machines and drink machines, but to supply personal protective equipment, MRO, and things like that.
Now, the machine you've got behind us here, and to your right as well, is slightly different because there's nowhere to put any money.
Correct. So what this is, these machines are connected to the cloud. So every transaction that you do basically is logged in on a software platform. So you can track all the events. So when someone comes in, so for example, if I'm coming in the morning and I need a pair of gloves, I'll scan my personal ID.
We're getting a live demo here.
It'll recognize me, and it will tell me which, if I'm limited to certain things. Now, I'm going to dispense, and I want a pair of gloves, so I'm going to say I want 21 or 20, and it will deliver the gloves for me, which I can then pick up.
Now, this is a great system because it's something you have on a site, presumably. You have it on a site, and it means that your staff are always going to have access to the right equipment.
Correct. One of the advantages to this is, yes, you're right, so there's compliance tracking. So since everything is logged, you know who took what and when they took it. The other thing is these machines, they plug into a simple 240 volt and internet. They can be Wi-Fi, it can be a cell pack, or it can be Ethernet plugged in. And what happens is you can put these wherever your employees are. So the idea is you don't have to walk a mile across a factory to get gloves or safety glasses or any of your safety equipment. It's right there where the employees need them.
And of course, because everyone's got their own unique card, their own unique scanner there, you can keep tabs, I suppose, with accountability of what people have been taking. So if someone is going and taking more gloves, these very expensive, heavy-duty gloves, then you have an idea.
So with the software in the background, you can also set limits to what people can take and how much they can take and how often they can take them. So the idea being, some of these heavy-duty gloves in manufacturing can cost £10 a piece. When you think of the millions that companies make, it may not seem like much, but you have, say, 150 employees. If all of those employees were to take a pair of gloves every single day, that would add up. So the idea is you can limit access to the gloves or to the machine on a weekly basis. You can limit the elements that I may have access to the top shelf only. So all of this gives you control over your inventory, and it helps manage costs.
And of course, from another side of the coin as well, if you've got a member of staff that hasn't got the right equipment, you can say, why haven't you got the right equipment? It's there for you.
Correct. So from a legal perspective, the data is there. If someone comes along and says they lost a finger, unfortunately, and they blame the company and they blame the business because they didn't have their PPE equipment, the company has the ability to demonstrate with data and timestamp data that the product or the PPE that they needed was there, and that they either took it or didn't, or took the wrong stuff. So it's really, really important in terms of compliance for businesses to be able to show this as well.
Absolutely. Now, moving on down here, we've got another very exciting, more locker-based, this one.
Correct. So the idea behind this is there are certain pieces of equipment aren't going to fit there, so you can put them in these lockers. They work off the same machine, so the same idea of scanning a badge and selecting a position for what you want to take. This one, if you have multiple items in a locker, it's more of an honor system. So the idea is I'll open perhaps this locker, I can take out 2 of those cans, and I'll say I only took 1. But that's not going to serve any purpose ultimately, because every single transaction is tracked. If there are only 3 in there and 2 of us take some out, it's going to be down to 2 of us. So it's really a means, again, of controlling perhaps these larger items. It could be tools as well. So in an engineering department, for example, people who do maintenance and repair, they have specialty tools for the machinery and things like that. If one engineer takes the tool, goes out on the floor and forgets the tool or forgets to bring it back, the next engineer is going to be wandering around the factory looking for this item. That's lost productivity for all of these manufacturers.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought of that application that you can literally use it as a loan system. You can put something, you can take it away, use it, and then bring it back.
Correct. So the system, again, the platform is exactly the same for all of the different devices that we have, and you use the software for, you can do sort of a check-in, check-out, which I'll show you in a little bit. In this case, it's dispensing, so I'm taking something. But with tools, it's the check-in, check-out, because again, I'm going to take it, use it. When I'm finished with it, I will bring it back, and all of that is tracked. So you know that I took the tool, and if it doesn't come back within a certain time frame, you can set an alert as well to say, this should have been back by now. Go find Nicole and figure out what she's doing with the tool.
Chase her down. Let's have a look down here then, because you mentioned that. We might as well take more of a trek. You've got quite a lot on offer here, haven't you?
Yes, so this is another one for MRO or PPE. Same idea, you scan your badge, but what we have here is scales. So where in that locker, if I had taken two of those cans, it's an honor system. In this case, if I take 2 cans, it will calculate that. So it is set up based on weight. It knows how much 3 cans of WD-40 weigh. If I take 1 can out, it's going to know that I've taken 1 can. So in this case, I can scan, I can open the cupboard, I can take 5 elements out of the cupboard and walk away, shut the door, and it will know what I've taken.
Much like my hotel room in Vegas, then it knows what I've taken.
Exactly. It's exactly like your hotel room.
Not the same sort of product, though.
Less fun products.
And now here we're talking honor systems and bringing things back as well.
So this is the same locker as you saw further up, but this one has the scales in them. So again, it's everything that we do is about control. It's about access, and it's about measuring and being able to access the data in real time. Because the data's up in the cloud, every transaction goes directly up to the cloud, so you know it the minute it happens, literally. Same thing here. If I take 1 or 2 or 5 items, but I only have access to 1 locker, it will know. So you limit the quantity of materials or items available. You can limit how many people can take or not take, but everything is documented.
It's also great for ordering. You know what your stock levels are for things you need to bring in too. So finally, we come to this area.
It's almost finally. This is something a little bit different. So this is the check-in and check-out system I talked about earlier. We call it asset management. And the idea behind this is if I need a tool, this is more for warehousing, and you scan your products before they go out. You can use this for engineering tools and things like that. So the idea behind this is when I scan my badge, I'm going to check out or take an item. It will highlight, it will open the door of the device that I want, and I'll take it out. I'll go off and I'll do my job. At the end of my shift, or when I'm finished with that tool, come back and I go through the same exercise, scan my badge, check the item back in. And that whole process takes about 3 to 5 seconds. Normally, or the traditional way of managing items like this have either been locked cabinets. So for example, in an engineering shop, these expensive tools that they use will be in a cabinet, it will be locked, and someone has the key. Now, if an engineer comes in on the weekend because he wants to get caught up or wants to get head up on the week, if he doesn't have the key, he can't get the tool, so he can't do the work. And then you're running around chasing the person with the key to get your tool. In this particular instance as well, you make sure when you check the scanner or the tool back in, it can ask you, is it ready for use? Does it need to be charged? Does it need to be calibrated? And all of that is part of the software and the information behind it. So you always know what you have and you know it's ready to work.
It's absolutely fascinating, and it's just such a simple idea, isn't it, when you think about it?
It's super simple, and it's all about productivity at the end of the day, because in the cases of locked cabinets or people handing these devices out, it's a manual process and it takes a long time. I mean, we love queues in England, but I don't think we love them that much. I think the statistic is that 20 minutes in a queue and people give up. Or is it 6 minutes? I don't know. But the fact is, you don't want to queue, you want to get on with your work, and this is what these devices allow you to do, because you're not depending on another human being. You get what you need when you need it, where you need it, and you just get on with your job.
Absolutely. Now, we're going to be very, very quick on the final bit, but you see lovely orange dispensers or containers down here. Adds a bit of colour to start with.
Yes, we do like our orange. Okay, so very quickly, most people will be familiar with the Kanban system, which is 2 bins. When you run out of materials in one bin, you replace it with the other, and someone has to come and fill your bin. What we've done is we're using that weight technology to set a threshold. When you reach a minimum threshold and you start running out of stuff, it will send an alert automatically either to your distributor, the person who fills your bins, or to your ERP system or your internal supply, and they will know to come fill up your bin. And again, everything is logged on the cloud, so you can start measuring trends. If you find that you're supplying more of one item than you really need, but less of another, that you can even things out, which means restocking happens maybe, instead of happening 3 times or 4 times, it'll happen once a week or twice a week instead of 5. So from a distributor perspective, if you have a partner who is supplying your stuff, it's helpful to them, because it gives them more time to go and grow their business. And for you as a manufacturer, if you've got one of these on your line and you run out of a tiny little 2-pound screw, this is a true story. One of the distributors for a large German manufacturing company ran out of a little screw. They didn't have it in their local warehouse. They taxied it up from headquarters. So a 2-pound screw ended up costing them about 50 pounds. So from a supplier perspective, it's a big issue. If the line goes down in a manufacturing plant, it can cost hundreds of thousands of pounds for a screw.
Well, there you go. I am sold. Don't spend hundreds and hundreds of pounds on a screw. You can use these systems, loads of options, and check them out for yourselves if you're here. If not, go and have a look at Apex Supply Chain Solutions. Thank you very much there to Nicole.
Thank you.